Hey guys, what's happening? I'm Captain Mike, Florida Sport Fishing TV host, and welcome back to another Thursday night live session. Just give it a couple seconds here, give a few people a chance to load up here. For starters, a big thank you, to all of you guys for joining us here on these virtual seminars. This I think is our third or fourth week in a row that we've been doing this. The turnout has been absolutely awesome, and it's only going to get bigger and better from here. Again, I really appreciate the support. Appreciate all of the kind words. We've gotten a lot of great comments. Hi to you too there. I'm really looking forward, like I said, to just continuing to take these seminars to another level here and really to just jam a lot of information at you in a short period of time. Everybody's real busy nowadays. Nobody's got a lot of time. Obviously, we can't get together in big groups at this stage, like we used to do, and hopefully that'll change in the near future. Obviously, boat shows are going on right now. If you're up in the Palm Beach, Broward, Dade area, the Palm Beach Boat Show is going on this weekend. Make sure to swing by CV and get yourself a shiny new 37 or 39. Or you may even want that new 450Z. That's a pretty hot boat. Nevertheless, again, just a couple quick things I want to talk about, and then we'll get into it here. Right now, Florida Sport Fishing TV, we're airing some repeat episodes on Fox Sports. I do want to tell you that Fox Sports is changing. Come April 1st, it's now going to be known as Bally's Sports Sun. Same channel, same programming, same staff, same everything, but the name is going to be different. You're no longer going to see Fox Sports or Fox Sports Sun. It's now going to be Bally's Sports Sun. So that's what we're going to be airing on, along with all of the other fishing shows that are on that same Fox schedule. And like I said, that's going to take place at the end of the month here. Same channel, everything is staying the same. Of course, YouTube, we're doing really, really well on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Florida Sport Fishing. If you haven't already subscribed, please visit and subscribe. You can catch up on the last 10 seasons of Florida Sport Fishing TV. We also have all of our extreme seminars there that we've done in person at Chaos Fishing. I don't know, there's 15 or 20 seminars, and they're long. They're 60 to 90 minutes. Some are even a little bit longer. I can go on forever. They got to pull me off the stage. But it's because it gives me an opportunity to really talk in detail to people face to face. Now, obviously, in this scenario, a little bit different, The first seminar here I did was well over an hour, and I got a little bit of lash and said, hey, that's way too long. You got to keep it to 30 minutes from beginning to end. That's that sweet spot, to get somebody like you to sit there and just stare at your phone for a half hour. I'm incredibly grateful that you're doing that. And like I said, I want to get a lot of info to you in that short period of time. And I'm going to miss things. I got to be honest. Listen, I'm a guy just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time. And I'm not perfect by any means. I'm going to miss stuff in that short period of time. So if there's something that you want to know that I didn't touch on, or if there's something that you want me to elaborate more on, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to, get a hold of me through Instagram here. Email me at mike@floridasportfishing.com. I don't care if you knock on my front door. Well, don't knock on my front door. But nevertheless, I'm here to help you out. So like I said, if you're just new, if you're just joining us, or as a reminder, what we're doing is a real-time fishing report for the Middle Florida Keys. And of course, this is going to expand. I'm here in Marathon. We're based out of Marathon, but a lot of what's happening right out front here is also happening to the east. We'll say Isle Morado all the way up to Key Largo, and of course to the west, all the way to Key West, and even, of course, the Dry Tortugas. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about is universal to that whole area. And then after providing you some information on that, what's really happening right now, today, right now, then we're going to jump into a particular topic and elaborate more on that topic. So let's get right down to it. For starters, the fishing report. I know a lot of you guys want to know, more or want to know a lot about what's going on. Offshore, I've got some good news. The reef bite has really picked up, okay? The patch reef fishing, when conditions are good and you've got good current, which is absolutely key, there's a lot of big yellowtails on the patch reefs right now. They moved up into that, 25 to 35 foot range is where you want to be. Obviously chumming heavy, okay? You're not going to, you're not going to overfeed those big yellowtails, those flags. That's why, a lot of the charter boats still put 2 chum bags, 1 in each corner, okay? And of course, 25-pound blocks of chum. They throw oats and all kinds of concoctions. I mean, you're not going to overfeed these big tails, the big yellowtails. And sometimes you've got to just feed them and feed them and feed them to get them to come up to the boat there. So you catch those small ones, those 12 to 14-inch fish all day long. But again, it's nice to know there's some bigger fish there to catch right now. Also starting to see a nice showing of solid-sized mangrove snappers along the patch reefs mixed in with the yellowtails. Now that mangrove bite, that spawn, doesn't peak for another couple of months here. Okay, that's when it really blows up with those 4 to 8, 9, 10-pound fish. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about right now. But still, it's not uncommon, those 3 to 5, 6-pound fish, they're mixed in with some of those bigger yellowtails. So it's nice to see some of those. Big mutton snappers also mixed in. So at any time, and I've said this last week, so important when you're patch reef fishing, make sure your tackle is in top-notch condition, no chafes or frays on your leaders, because you never know when you're going to drop that bait down and it's going to be a, a 10, 15-pound mutton snapper that eats it. And of course, come May, that could even be a big grouper, and obviously you're going to want to bag that grouper. Right now, not so important since the season is closed. Mackerel fishing, still good, still solid. A lot of king mackerels around. The Spanish mackerel have thinned out, but again, this is the keys, people, right? All up and down the reef line, there's Spanish mackerel on especially in Hawks Channel, inside even those patch reefs. If you put the chum in the water, if you're fishing those coral heads, expect to see some Spanish mackerel. That I can almost guarantee you. Some lane snappers there mixed in as well on those coral heads in Hawks Channel. That's a good bet. There's some sailfish up in shallow water, okay? Spraying the ballyhoos, that's another option for you. I was on those blackfin tunas, and I'm about to get back on them. Unfortunately, I was out of commission for a week, had the boat out of the water, getting the bottom painted, the 400 Verados service. Got the boat back this afternoon, ran it home, and I'm super anxious to get back out there tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, especially since we've got some wind here again. Southeast, east, it's going to be a little bit choppy, and those are perfect blackfin tuna conditions. Further offshore, and again, that's not out on the humps, that's in that 150 to 300 foot range. Further offshore, the swordfish bite continues to be hot with some big fish mixed in. I don't want to say it's a guarantee you're going to get a bite. Of course it's not, but certainly very likely if you do it right. Okay, the deep dropping, queen snappers, black belly rosefish, also, an opportunity to put some meat in the boat. The hump fishing with the tunas and a lot of dolphin out there as well. Dolphin are making a really strong showing, and it's nowhere near dolphin season yet. It's just slowly starting to ramp up. So nice to see a lot of mahis. No real big fish yet. Okay, a lot of schoolies, flippers, stuff like that. I haven't even seen a lot of gaffers, but certainly enough to, keep it interesting, mixed in with the blackfin tunas, while you're trolling around the humps or trolling to and from the humps, you've got an opportunity to catch the dolphin. Up in the bay, it's typical bay fishing, right? There's so many opportunities there up in the bay and around the bridge. I'm not a bay guy. I don't run my 39 CV up in the bay quite yet, although there's tremendous fishing up in the bay for a wide variety of species. So there's always something to do up there, always something to catch. Tarpon fishing is heating up, we know that. Come May, forget it. It's absolutely going to be on fire, especially at Bahia Honda. Real quick on the tarpon, keep in mind with tarpon season approaching, one thing that's really interesting down here, different bridges require different bait. I know it's a little bit odd, but the tarpon are really keyed in on a certain bait. Bahia Honda, it's all about crabs. But if you go further east, it's about mullet. So, it might be a good idea to have both baits, but I think you need to just think about where you're going to fish and what that hot bait is for that particular area. Another thing that's going on offshore, and that certainly brings us right to our topic here tonight, is the permit fishing. Now, permit, I'll tell you what, this is one of those species that's just, it's a trophy. It's a trophy fish to catch a big permit. I don't care how you do it. If you're on the flats fly fishing, forget it. That's one of angling's greatest achievements, is fly fishing for permit and catching big permit on fly. The wrecks up in the bay hold plenty of permit. We all know that. But what's really cool is this time of the year, end of March and certainly throughout April, the permit pre-spawn type of cycle move into the ocean, to the Atlantic side, and they start gathering around rubble piles and wrecks in anywhere from 80 to 120 feet of water. That's the peak. Now, it's a real specialized fishery. You know, not everybody is going to do this. Not everybody wants to do this. You know, when you talk about something like dolphin, you've got hundreds of people. You have so many people that are really into it. When you talk about a really specialized fishery like this, your audience goes way down, right? But that's totally cool because it's such a challenge. It really is an incredible challenge for me, at least, and certainly it should be for you. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the star of the show here, okay? Take a good look at this guy. This is what we're talking about right here. All right, what an absolutely awesome, awesome predator right there. This is such a glamorous fish. Look at that tail, more like a tuna. Look at that, literally like a tuna type of tail, okay? Incredible fins, big broad body, huge eyes, huge eyes. That fish can see so well. Incredible sense of smell, little crushers, okay? And I'm telling you, that's a trophy fish right there. I don't care where you catch it, even out on the wrecks. And now is a great time for guys like myself. I don't fly fish, okay? I don't fly fish, you know, for permit. I had a period in my life where I was fly fishing for bonefish a lot and had a number of shots at permit and blew them all, proud to say that. But I don't do that now. So it's a great opportunity to get out on the wrecks and have an opportunity to hook and catch these fish. But like every other fishery, it requires a specialized mindset to fool this guy, okay? It's not an easy fish to fool. They're incredibly smart, you know, like I said, phenomenal eyesight, great senses, and they're spooky. They're spooky, and I'll tell you what, you really have to approach this fishery with a level of stealth, okay? So for starters, like I said, the rubble piles, you know, old bridge rubble, any sort of structure, wrecks in that 80 to 120 foot range is really the key. That's going to be the area. I'm not saying you're not going to find them shallower, you're not going to find them deeper. You certainly may, okay? You certainly may. However, if I'm specifically going out there to look for the permit on the wrecks right now on the ocean side of the Keys, I'm going to focus on that 80 to 120 foot range, okay? Now, certain spots will hold more fish or will hold a fish versus other spots, and that's going to be trial and error. It's going to be networking, and it's going to be putting in your time. There's no easy route, Jack. Get out there and fish, okay? That's number one. Number two, you've got to be committed. These fish turn on and off, you know, very much like a lot of other species that we target. So if you're not successful the first time, don't give up. Okay, don't go out there, try it. If you don't find them, if you don't hook up, don't say, oh, forget it, I'm never doing this again. On the contrary, learn. You know, every single time you go out there, you should learn why you were successful or why you weren't successful. Because sometimes that's even just as important as why you were successful, right? What you did wrong and what you could do better. And my goal here with these live events is to share with you, or I should say to shorten that learning curve, to say, hey, you know what? I've tried that and I've made that mistake, okay? Don't do it. I've tried fishing 1 ounce jig heads with really big hooks, and no, that's just not a really natural presentation. I've tried fishing wrecks in that 200 foot range looking for the permit, and no, they're not there. I don't find them there at all. So again, what my goal is just to share this stuff with you, shorten that learning curve, and let you know what does work. So when you get out there, you can be as successful as possible, okay? But like I said, I'm not saying, you know, you're gonna be successful every time, but you will never be successful if you don't try, if you don't put in the time, hone your skills, and really get dialed in. So again, we know, you know, hypothetically, we're gonna go permit fishing tomorrow, and I'm gonna look at those wrecks in that 80 to 120 foot range. Ideal conditions for wreck fishing for permit. We want the sun high in the sky, okay? We're not looking for that low light, like for say blackfin tunas or whatever. That's not what we're talking about. We want bright light. We want that sun way up in the sky so it's easy to see through the water. Why? Because these things will swim in packs, okay? They'll swim in packs. They'll hover 20 to 40 feet below the surface, sometimes even closer to the surface, and you can see them shimmering. You can see that shimmering body. Oftentimes, you see that yellow golden area right there. You can spot that cruising. So if you're in a tower boat, you've got a huge advantage. You'll see guys out there on these wrecks in tower boats. They're up in the tower. Guys are, rigged and ready, and they won't put a bait in the water until the guy in the tower says, boom, there they are right there, and then they'll throw the bait at them, okay? So having that height advantage is absolutely, a huge advantage, but not necessary. It's not necessary. You can go out there and drift these spots. And I should mention that this is not about anchoring. It's not about powering into the current. You want to drift over these wrecks, around these wrecks, because that's where these schools of permit are feeding. And again, calmer, the better, brighter, the better. Those are ideal permit conditions. We'll say 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That midday bite often is the best bite for the permit. Tough to do on a weekend because you've got a lot of weekend warriors out there. You'll go fish a spot. I went to a spot just the other day prior to hauling the boat out of the water like we talked about. And I'll tell you, I was the first boat on the spot, and literally within 10 minutes there were 6 boats there. 6 boats. Those fish are going to sound. Those fish are going to go down. They're going to get spooked. Okay, it's going to happen. I'm telling you. So it's hard to do this successfully on the weekend. Not impossible, but tough. If you can get out there during the week, that'd be even better. Rig-wise, okay, rod and reel. The best rod and reel, universal, 7-foot rod, spinning outfit. Okay, because I'm casting a light bait, and we're going to talk about the bait in a second. But it's just basically a 7-foot spinning outfit. Could be graphite, could be glass, whatever, rated for 15 to 30 pound line. A Daiwa Isla size 7,000 reel. There it is right there. It doesn't have to be a 7,000, could be a 5,000, whatever you have. Okay, this isn't the only thing you can use. It's whatever you have. The point I'm making is a nice, comfortable, well-balanced spinning outfit, 20-pound test. 20 pound. You absolutely do not need anything more than that. These are incredibly strong fish, but they're not going to get you into the structure. It's not like an AJ or a big grouper that's going to run you down into the structure. That's not what this is about. He's going to fight you in open water. So 20-pound test is perfectly fine. And then I top it off with a 20-pound test fluorocarbon leader. If you can get away with 30-pound diamond presentation, even better. But if you have to, you can go down to 20-pound. Very simple rig. You've got 2 options. 2 options. One option, a jig head. Okay? And that jig head size right there is going to vary depending on the current. If you're flying, if you're drifting really fast, you may want even up to 1 ounce jig head. If there's no current at all, you may want, a 1/4 ounce jig head, maybe even less. So that's one option right there. Yellowtail Candy, is the brand of that particular jig head, or a lot of guys call those Yellowtail Candy. And it's just a 1/2 ounce jig head. Pink, yellow, white, okay, chartreuse. Those are going to be your colors right there. I don't know how much of a big difference color makes in that jig head when you're fishing a live bait on it. But, again, everybody leans toward those colors. Now, another rig, and actually, before I even talk about the other rig, I'm going to tell you that there's one bait that you need to get your hands on if you want to target this fish right here, okay? Don't go out there with goggle eyes, pilchards, ballyhoo, or any of that kind of stuff, because they're not going to eat it, okay? There's only one thing that these guys are going to eat, and that's that right there. Take a good look at that, okay? That is a juvenile little blue crab. Right there is permit candy, baby. They cannot resist that, in a small one, just like that. And note how I have it hooked. In this particular case, this is as stealthy as can possibly be. Remember, these fish can see everything. Okay, so in turn, I want to be as stealthy as possible. I want my crab to drift across that area as natural as it possibly can be. I've got a VMC in line, 2-0 circle hook right there. They're ultra thin because I want the crab to swim naturally, but incredibly strong. And I've got that crab hooked, you can see right in the corner, right there at that point from the bottom up. Okay, take a good look at that. I drilled that hook in nice and easy, took my time and went from the bottom up. Excuse me. So now as I'm drifting, that crab is just going to drift along as natural as possible, and literally the permit can't resist it. Now, 20-pound or 30-pound diamond presentation fluorocarbon, and look how long that leader is, about 6 feet, to a little split shot, you know, or I'll call it a rubber core sinker, okay, right there. A rubber core sinker. That's going to vary, again, depending on the speed of the current. But as you can imagine, that crab is just going to drift along as natural as it can possibly be. So those are really your two options. Now the key, I get to the area, X marks the spot, this is the wreck right here. I'm going to set up current. If I don't have a tower, if I can't see them, I want to drift across that area. I'm going to set up current, toss my crab out, my bail is open, and I'm feeding line out. Again, I'm not locking it up and dragging it through the water. The crab's just not going to look that natural. It's got to be perfect. If it doesn't look right, move right, smell right, taste right, permit's not going to eat it. It's one of those scenarios. This is not a dumb fish, okay? And it's not a fish that's going to eat an artificial bait offshore. Sure, they'll eat a fly. They'll, potentially some other artificial baits up in the bay, on the flats, etc., but that's not what we're talking about. There's packs of them out on these wrecks, and they want those crabs. They're feeding on crabs. They're looking up for them, drifting across, and I want my crab to look just like a natural crab that's just swimming along unsuspectingly, wiggling its little feet like that until Mr. Permit comes along, sees them, and it's lights out, okay, just like that. So I'm going to fish with my bail open. I'm going to feed it out. The boat's drifting across, and I'm going to drift down current of the structure. May it be a wreck, may it be a rubble pile. I get a bite. This guy's going to come along right here. He's going to see that crab. He's absolutely going to devour it, crunch it in his mouth. Okay, you probably won't even feel that yet. By the time he crunches it, starts turning and running with it, at that point, all you have to do is just lock up, reel any slack that you may have in your line. You'll come tight and enjoy that fight. It's an absolutely epic battle. These are incredibly strong fish, and it's a trophy fish. It's an honor to be able to catch a permit. I don't care how you do it. If it's in the shallows, if it's offshore on the wrecks, it's an honor to do so. Keep in mind, you should release these fish. I'm not saying they're not good on the dinner table. They are. I've never eaten one, but I know a lot of people that have, and they say that they're absolutely delicious, comparable, I guess, to cobia, people have said to me. I don't know. But in any case, you should release the fish. You are allowed to keep one, if you wanted to. But that pretty much wraps up permit fishing on the wrecks. It's not that challenging. There's no other tricks. You're not chumming, you're not trolling, you're not, dropping a bait all the way to the bottom. That's not how this works. It's just drifting across with the crabs. Do a drift, keep drifting. If you're confident those fish are there, if you're reading them on your sounder, and you'll see they really show up on the sounder in their own unique way. Okay, there's nothing that I see on my Furuno fish finder that looks like a pack of permit. I could tell instantly. I'm like, oh, boom, there they are, right there. You'll see them, like I said, between that 20 and 50 foot range, big arches. Now, of course, every machine is different. I don't know what your fish finder is gonna look like, but they're unmistakable, okay? But remember, it's not X marks the spot. They're not just sitting in one spot. They're moving around. The entire body of fish is moving around. So you could be here, they could be there, and you could miss them. So you've got to put in the time. Try that spot, give it as much time as necessary before you realize, hey, they're not here, let me move on to the next one, or try again on a different day, whatever the case may be. But this fishery doesn't last all year. It's right now, it's going to peak right here in April, is really peak season for these permit on the wrecks. Okay, so get out there, give it a whirl, do something different, switch it up. If you've never done this, why not? Start the day fishing the patch reefs for the yellowtails and the mangroves, put some dinner in the boat, have a good time, load the box, whatever, and then, you know, have some crabs on the boat, have a dozen crabs, and switch it up, and then go hit the wrecks looking for the permit. Okay, that's a great strategy. If you're still out there during the late afternoon, evening, then head offshore and troll for the blackfins along the edge. Now, that's an absolutely great day right there. So, finally, we're going to wrap this up. Again, we will see you next Thursday at 7:30. I've gotten a lot of great, you know, requests for different topics, and certainly we're going to try and address all of those as we move forward here. One more time, I want to just remind you, check out our YouTube channel. Also, as a reminder, you know, we're filming new episodes of Florida Sport Fishing TV as we speak. We're making some really big changes for the upcoming season that I'm super excited about. I'm not going to spill the beans on them all right now, but I'm fired up about the upcoming season that we're filming down here in the Keys, and really looking forward to you joining us. So thanks again for your time. Have an absolutely wonderful night. Get out there and go permit fishing or any kind of fishing, and I'll see you next week.